Everybody's heard the phrases, "A fool and his money are soon parted." "A bad workman blames his tools." "You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink." I could do separate videos on each one of the truisms I just mentioned, but I can't say that I've found any idiom more true and relevant to our current existential struggle than the idiom "misery loves company." Let me explain to you why that is. The phrase is not only valid as a tool for self-reflection, but it's also valid as a tool to analyze the nature of our enemies, especially their motivations against us. Accurate self-reflection requires brutal honesty, and we need to be honest about the nature of our movement. Most dissident movements are overwhelmingly younger people, especially younger men, and ours is really no exception. Dissident movements are almost invariably peopled by those who are disenchanted and repulsed by the current social and political reality. And even honorable people at times allow disgust and frustration to mutate into anger and hatred and bitterness, a state of misery, if you will. Because, after all, what is misery by definition? It's simply a state or feeling of great distress or discomfort of mind and body. And our critics could argue that in this way, we are united in a sort of shared misery. And in all honesty, I would not entirely disagree with that argument. Being miserable is not always irrational or something of which to be ashamed. Sometimes it's the product of something that's completely rational and justified. Our shared misery stems from living within a society that is becoming increasingly insufferable to us. And it's insufferable because we place emphasis on traditional and natural notions of order and strength and wisdom and morality. And we adore and seek to preserve our ancestry and history and identity and culture. And we embrace essentialism and spirituality and many inconvenient truths regarding the peculiarities and diversities of various human groups. These are all things that the society and world around us revile and treat with contempt and actively seeks to destroy. So everything that gives us comfort, including simply having our own exclusive identity and bioculture and homelands, is being deliberately undermined by the society that surrounds us. And so it's only natural that we are miserable given our surroundings. And this is why we seek to separate ourselves from the current social and political reality and establish an environment where we can be content. And yet we have no desire really to force others into our preferred environment if it results in their misery. Because if such an environment really makes them miserable, we would have no desire really or demand for them to be included. We don't want others to be miserable. And so while dissidents within our movement may be miserable in some ways, we at least have a solution that is pragmatic and not intentionally malevolent to outgroups. We simply want autonomy and exclusion. And that simply can't be said about our enemies. And that, my friends, when you think about it, is the key difference between right-wing and left-wing identity politics. And it's what illustrates exactly why our mindset is righteous and theirs is patently evil. You'll sometimes hear conservative Inc. type pundits claim that left-wing identity politics are tribalistic or even nationalistic, but that couldn't be any further from the truth. Their collectivity simply is a means to an end, while our collectivity is our end. And that is why separating themselves and creating an alternate exclusive society that caters to their preferences has really never been enough for our enemies. Their misery is constant because, unlike us, they have no real solution to their misery. Reality itself, and indeed their own nature, is the cause of their misery. And that is why simply freeing themselves of what allegedly makes them miserable, which they say is us, is not their ultimate goal. Their ultimate goal is to enslave us within a society that makes us miserable. They are motivated by spite and hatred and vengeance. They do not want us to be happy or free. They want us to submit and change our preferences and way of life, or suffer and wallow in the miserable reality that they have newly created. They want to revel in our humiliation and pain and destruction. They will never accept that our desires are motivated only by that which we love and cherish, because that humanizes us and validates our perspective and goal. Because they are entirely motivated by a desire to destroy that which we love and cherish, they must dehumanize us at all costs. They hate themselves, surely, but they hate us even more, and that's the point. And this is because we have what they lack and always will lack: a remedy for our misery, the ability and the potential for happiness. All we need to do is separate ourselves from them, but they lack this ability and potential, because if they separated themselves from us, their lives would not improve. They would become even worse. And that is why their instinct is not autonomy and self-determination. It is to try to make us be equally as miserable as them. And that, my friends, is the truest example of the meaning behind the phrase, misery loves company.